Hey everyone, it's Stephanie with Bottom of the Bin, and we're going to be making some spring greeting cards today. So I've gone through my paper stash and kind of picked out a few of the loose sheets that I thought kind of went together. I had these sentiments already cut out from another paper pack. It wasn't even a pack, it was just some loose paper that I had. And I used some of them for a card class that we're doing here at the shop. And we had some leftover, so I'm going to make some more greeting cards here. I found some really pretty paper. In fact, I think this was actually part of one of the original ones that came with it. Yeah, because those flowers look exactly the same. So I'm glad I had that. It is double-sided, so we've got some pink on the back. And then I just went through and found some other colors and patterns I thought might go well. This might be a little bit turquoisey, but we'll see what we can match together. Actually, that is perfect for that one. These have a bit of a darker blue, but that is almost a perfect match. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of figure out what is going with what so that we can cut out our border, our front, and then match our sentiment. I already think this is going to be a perfect match. So we're going to grab this, and then this also is going to go as well because it has the same sort of turquoise in here, and then the stripes brings in a little bit of a darker color so that when we do our backdrop, it's going to look really nice. I'm wondering if it's going to be too distracting. I think maybe if we found a solid color to put a border around the sentiment, it would definitely work better. So let me see if I can find a solid color in my stash that kind of matches dark blackish gray color here. And that's going to be hard because I usually don't use darker colors. I use a lot of pastels. So let's see what I have. Okay, that was a bit more of a challenge than I expected. I don't have anything anywhere near this color. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use it for the background of our actual card, like the actual border, and then just use the same paper for the sentiment. So we'll put that together and see how it looks. So I'm going to set these aside. This is going to be one card. And then we're going to see if we can find something else. I'm going to try to make 3 cards today, all using some of these similar elements that we have here. I love that little birdhouse so much, but it doesn't have an actual sentiment on it. We could always stamp something on there. It would go really well with the teapots, although I think the blues are a bit too different. And then of course we have this one, which actually matches the sentiments. I think this might be better because this can be cut out into one card over here, and then maybe the birds can go with the birdhouse on this one. I'm not sure exactly how the layout will go, but I kind of want to figure it out before I start cutting up my paper so that we make sure everything lines up. Or even if we cover the house, it still matches really nicely because the flowers are the same. So I think we'll be able to get 2 cards out of some sort of configuration from these two. So I'm going to set these aside, and we'll save the pretty teapots and teacups for another project. Okay, so now that we know what paper we're going to be working with, I'm going to grab my paper trimmer here and just ignore the reflection from the ring light. We need that to brighten up our space a little bit. This trimmer is really nice because it has this extension here, and I usually make 5x7 cards, so that's going to help me just get the perfect size. So I have this thicker cardstock. It might be a little bit too thick for this project. Since we won't be going through with anything like paper flowers, since I am going to be mailing these, I'm going to go with a little bit of a thinner cardstock. I don't know the exact weight, but this one is definitely going to work better. So it is 8.5 by 11. So what we're going to do is actually trim it down to 10 by 7. So when we fold it over, it'll make a 5x7 card. And that just leaves us with a couple of little scraps here. I'm going to do that with all 3 of my bases. So again, 10 by 7. So when it's folded over, it is 5 by 7. And the third one. Perfect. Now, since this cardstock is a little bit thinner than what I normally use, I'm just going to use my bone tool to fold it in half. Normally, I would score the cardstock as well. We're just going to line it up so that it's perfect, and then take our bone tool and sort of push down to make a crease here. That way the paper doesn't fold up as we're trying to make the card. And we'll do the same with the other 2. Now that we have our 3 card bases ready, we're going to go ahead and start cutting out the border and the fronts. I'm going to go with the easier one first, since everything is pretty much the same pattern. We don't have to figure out exactly where we're going to trim so that the pattern is where we want it. And I think I actually want the stripes to be horizontal, so we're gonna cut it this way. Now with the 12 by 12 paper, I have a very specific way that I cut it if I want to save the scraps. So we're gonna cut this by 10, which leaves us with a 2 by 12. And the 2 by 12, I actually cut in half, so it's 2 by 6. And this is perfect for making double-sided bookmarks. So I always save my scraps for those. Then we're gonna turn the sheet around. This we're gonna line up to be 7 inches. That's gonna leave us with 2 mismatched sizes. But once we trim this one down to 5 inches, it's gonna give us 2 perfect 5 by 7 sheets. And then this one, it has a little bit of an extra lip here because this wasn't exactly 12 by 12. So we're gonna make this 5 wide. Just cut off the excess piece there. Haven't really figured out what to do with these, but I still save everything. And then when we cut this down to 7 long, we're left with just a little piece. Let me see how big this is. It's about 3 by 5. And I find this perfect to make little thank you notes. So if I'm shipping an online order or sending a gift, or you can even cut it and make into tags, I find these really handy for that. So no paper goes to waste. And then we're left with 3 5 by 7 card bases. So one's gonna end up being the different orientation than the other two, but that's fine because I usually don't make 3 of the exact same card at a time. So we'll have it for another project. I'm gonna do the exact same process with this paper. And even though we're gonna end up trimming this to make it a little bit smaller to be the front of the card, I'll show you how we make our borders. I'm going to still cut it the exact same way so that I have all the scrap pieces the same size. So we have 2 5 by 7 here, a third 5 by 7, our little 3 by 5, which I wonder if these might actually work for artist trading cards. I believe those are like 2.5 by 3.5. So that might be good to start saving those. I really recently got into making artist trading cards. And then we will do our double-sided bookmark as well. So I won't be doing these today, but I'll set them aside for next time. So now that we have our 3 backgrounds, I'm gonna go through and trim them up even more so that we can place them on top of the background that we're gonna use as a border. So it will line up not perfectly with the horizontal stripes. Actually, it matches this one better. So this isn't an exact science. I kind of switch it up sometimes, but I try to get it about 4 3/4. I'm gonna cut on this side so I don't cut the pretty flower over here. And then I try to get about 6 3/4. I'm not really great even with a ruler and measuring. So I kind of go to the edge of my trimmer here. And so now this will lay on top and we'll have a perfect little border. It's very thin. Sometimes I make them a bit thicker, but I think with such a busy pattern on another busy pattern, that should be perfect. And now I'm gonna see what this would look better against. I definitely think the horizontal as well. And these I do a little bit differently since I like to line them up just perfectly. And I use the Aztec tape runners or glue runner, tape glue runner. I find these so handy. They glide easily and they last forever, it seems like. So I'm gonna go through. Oh, I guess it would help if I got one that wasn't empty. There we go. So I'm gonna go through and just line the edges of the sentiment and put a little bit in the middle. And this way, when I put it on what I want to use as a border, I can put it exactly where I want it. So I want a little bit of the dark border on top and bottom. So I'm going to try to line it up here so it's just right on both sides. And now that I have it placed exactly where I want it, we can go through and trim it. I find doing it in this order just helps a whole lot because I am not perfect at aligning things. And there we go. So hopefully this will help it stand out on the background a bit more. Let's take a look. Oh, that's perfect. It's still a bit busy, but I like it. I don't hate it. Now, normally I would go through and add paper flower embellishments, but again, since I'm actually mailing these out to some friends, I'm gonna leave them flat. So let's go ahead and start taping everything down. Okay, so I've got my card base here and I always lay it out flat. It's a little bit easier to get my tape runner to go across it. And I put it directly on the card just in case the paper that I'm using is not exactly the right size. We could trim it later without having to worry about extra sticky tape on the back of the cardstock. So then I use the edge that's already here as my guide. So when I lay it flat, hopefully it's straight, because once you lay it down, it's not like glue where you have time to move it around. Once this sticks, it's almost impossible to get off without tearing the paper. And it's probably a little hard to see on camera. It is not an exact match in terms of where it lines up, but it's close enough that it's not going to bother me. So I'm actually just going to leave that. And I'm trying to decide what way I want the flowers to go. So it doesn't really matter, but I think I kind of like them going this way diagonally instead. So the same thing, we're going to put the tape runner directly on the back of the piece that we're laying down. Actually, this is the opposite of what we just did. We're putting it on this piece because it's smaller. And again, that way we don't have extra tape around the edges that we didn't want. And this, we're going to have to line up just perfectly. Okay, it's always the scariest part. I think I actually flipped the orientation, but that's fine. And then the sentiment can really go anywhere. It looks a little bit better towards the bottom because you do have these really pretty flowers here, or you could line it up and put it exactly in the middle. But I honestly like it just down a bit. So we're going to go with this one. All right, we have our tape runner down. And I'm just going to go right here so we get a little glimpse of the flowers on top. And just making sure to eyeball it so that there's the same size on both sides, same width on both sides. And there we have an adorable card. It doesn't need much else. If I was adding my 3D paper flowers on here, I would also go through probably with some pop dots and embellishments. But since this cardstock already has this really pretty metallic design to it, I don't think we need to add anything. And the sentiment says, just a girl growing wings. So I have the perfect friend I'm going to send that to. I'll fill out the inside later just with a bit of a marker, and that one's good to go. So let's work on our other two cards next. So as I said earlier, I'm not going to cut this paper the exact way that I normally would, and it's because the print is different all around it. So I pretty much want to find out exactly where my sentiments are going to go first, and then I'll cut the 5x7 around it. I really like the birds, and it says her soul is fierce, her heart is brave, and her mind is strong. Absolutely love that. Have the perfect friend in mind. And the birds on birds is going to be too much. The flowers is kind of cute. Again, I really wanted to try to use this in the background a bit. I wish it was on the other side because that would be perfect to put this here as a sentiment, but then there's nothing to fill this out. So we're going to play with a few different orientations. Again, just pretending we have 5x7 to work with. And if we put it here, I'm just going to use this as a guide. It's cute, but it definitely cuts off the bottom of the birdhouse. I'm not sure if I like that. And if we go on this side, I feel like that's going to be a too off balance for me, but that really might be our best option unless we went horizontal with this card and sort of centered it. I think that's going to be really cute. Obviously, we're not going to use this. I was just using it as a guide, but I think we'll make the card this way instead of this way. Let's take a look at some of the other paper that I pulled to see if we have something that'll work as our border backdrop. This is technically the back of this sheet, but I don't feel like it matches that well. And I like the purple. It's in the same tone, but it's kind of hard to see, but this is definitely more of a blue than a purple. So I'm going to see if I actually have a blue cardstock that'll match this better. Okay, I found a book of solid blue, so I have high hopes that there's... Oh, wait. Did I open it to just the perfect page? That is really nice, but let's take a look at all of our options just to make sure. This one's cute too. It definitely matches the blue on this flower more than this one, which might not be bad because again, it's going to be our border, so it might help the colors pop. Okay, so it's really down to those two. So let's take a better look. So I'm going to kind of visualize what that would look like. It's very similar, but maybe just a bit too light of a tone. So let's check the other one. Okay, I forgot which one it was now. think it was this one. You know, it's a little brighter than I would probably go for, but I think it works because it pulls the blue from this flower and a little bit from the birdie. So let's go ahead and pull out this one. Okay, I'm gonna do the exact same process as earlier. I'm gonna cut this down so that we have our 3 5x7s and our extra scraps for the bookmarks and the thank you notes. And now we need to line this up just right. I'm almost wondering if I should tape this down exactly where I want it, and then we could measure and cut out the 5x7 around it. I think that might be the best bet because I really, really like that birdhouse. And maybe, wait, look, the extension of the branch just kind of matches up perfectly there. It almost looks like it was meant to go there. So let's get our tape runner and get it all glued down. Making sure we get all the edges and the middle. Oh, and I just realized this one wasn't cut perfectly, so I'm just gonna use my scissors to trim that up. I literally can't live without my Tim Holtz fussy cutting scissors from Tonic Studios. It works so well, even just to cut a straight line, because they are smooth like butter. Okay, perfect. And if I line the branch up, actually, let me double check to make sure that won't make it way too wide before I push it down. Okay, we still have plenty of room on both sides, so. I don't even know if that's straight, but it should be fine. Let's go ahead and now figure out exactly where it's gonna go. I'm gonna try to get it so there's the same amount on the top and on the bottom. So again, just using this one as a guide, they'll tell me exactly where to cut. Okay, so let's move that out of the way. And we're gonna go up this way. And instead of cutting all the way across, because I know I want to use this part for my third card, I'm only going to go where this starts. All right, perfect. And I'm going to line this up again so that there's about even space on both sides. Somewhere around there. And there. Okay, I didn't quite do that perfectly, but we could probably use our scissors to help us out here. Tiny little part that I missed. Okay, I can't cut a straight line to save my life, but I think that was small enough that it wouldn't be noticeable. So there is our perfect little card, and we're gonna have to trim it up just a bit more. I made it the exact same size of this, but obviously we want it to be a little bit smaller to use as our border. And I think we have a little bit more space on this side than this side, so we'll trim from here. Okay, and then I did do a pretty good job of putting equal space on top and the bottom, but I'm gonna cut off this extra little bit of letters up here first, this little bit of writing. And then I'm gonna line it up to 4 3/4. I always double check before taping it down. I think that's pretty good. Let's get this taped down, and that will be our second card finished. I'm really glad we went with this brighter blue. I feel like it definitely pulls some of the colors that you wouldn't immediately notice. And then let's get that attached to our card base. And since we're going horizontal, just want to make sure it opens the right way. You wouldn't believe how many times I've glued it down and it was opening the wrong way. And then instead of ripping it, I usually just have to cut it, and then I just have like a double thick cardstock to glue down. So right on the edges of the card first, fill the middle, and then we're gonna line it up just right. Super cute. There is a tiny little flaw on the edge that you probably won't see, but it bothers me And I am as much of a perfectionist as I can be with handmade items. But I think that's absolutely adorable. Again, if I was making this, do not mail to someone like through a small envelope or through like a flat envelope. I would definitely add a lot more embellishments here, paper flowers and little pop dots to add some, or pearl dots they might be called, to add some dimension. But we want this to be able to ship as cheap as possible. Perfect. Let's move on to the last card. Okay, so this is what we're left with, and I already lost the sentiment. Okay, it was buried under a bunch of paper, but here it is. And I thought this would be nice here because, again, it is the exact same flowers, but they're different sizes, so I don't think it'll be too noticeable. And I do really like the butterflies. I'm just not sure if this is big enough for what we need, so let's go ahead and measure it real quick. So it's unfortunately way too small. It would have to be like probably here at the minimum. So we're about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch short. So we have two options. We can find a different background, or we can go horizontal again. And I think that might actually work for this card as well. I'm worried about the bench behind it. So let's see what makes the most sense. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it and then we'll see what we have. I'm trying to decide if I like this. I mean, obviously we see like the little leg from the bench here, and instinctively I want to cover it up, but I really like how this looks with the flowers just coming out from behind it. I'm just honestly not sure this is going to work how I want it to. I do have the other full sheet still because I had 2 of these, and honestly, even if it was horizontal, or sorry, vertical, it's still going to have the same problem. So let me think for a minute about what to do. Okay, I think I might have a solution. I wonder if we fussy cut out these flowers and put it over the bench, if that will work. I won't really know till I cut it, so let's try. And I'm definitely gonna want the birds out of there, and so I'm gonna try to just cut around them, even though you're gonna kind of see little bits and pieces here. It won't be super obvious that it's a bird. And when I fussy cut, I usually leave a bit of a border, especially because the image is super intricate, because I'm never going to be able to cut it perfectly. So the border hides your mistakes and gives it a little bit of lift off the page as well. Makes it look like it was intentional. And you definitely don't have to be perfect with this. But I'm going to try to cut off as much as I can while still making it look really cute. Okay, let's see now. I think that actually fixed it. I kind of like it because now we have the balance of the flowers on both sides. You can still kind of see the leg of the bench, so you can tell there's a bench there, but I think that will be perfect. Now I have 2 borders that might work. There's sort of this lighter pink one, which has the petals. Actually, the purple would work too. I'm not sure if the purple and pink, well, actually, I think that might look really nice because the other one I have is pink polka dots, but it's not the exact pink of the sentiment. And now that I'm looking at it together, I definitely think the purple is going to be our best bet. I'm going to get this all cut up just the way that we did the others. Okay, there we go. Oh, this is actually a bit discolored, but that's okay because it'll just be for a bookmark if we end up using it. All right, let's put it all together before we glue it down and make sure it's what we want. Oh, and I need to cut some for the well, actually the sentiment might not need it because technically it has its own border. But let's see if just holding a piece behind it is going to make it pop more. Yeah, I think actually. I think it's necessary. Oh my gosh, wait. If we trim this a little bit, we can actually use this so we don't have to cut one of the 5x7 bases. We can use that for something else. So let me just trim this a tiny bit. All right, that should be perfect. So again, I'm gonna tape it down and then cut off the bottom. Make sure we get it just right. that's so cute. I love the pink and the purple together. I was afraid they were gonna kind of blend too much, but I think it's perfect. And then we'll tape down the larger part first. I do really like the back of this paper too. That would be great for like that would be great for mixed media or collaging, which I also make art journals, like mixed media art journals. We'll definitely have some videos of those coming along. So don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, if you don't want to miss it. And then that way we can line this up now. I think I should try to center it as best as possible. Probably good right about there. And then I just realized this isn't actually a sentiment. It just says the new guide to rose culture, but that's okay. It's just an everyday, any occasion card. I don't really have a specific event that I'm sending it for or holiday. It's just a hello to a friend. And that can go... Yeah, that's good. It kind of pops over the border a tiny bit, but I'm okay with that. Now that I'm looking at it, it's not exactly in the center, but hey, I think it came out pretty cute. So there's our third card. Let's get it glued onto the actual base. We're gonna line it up here right along the spine. And this overhangs a little bit as well, but again, not enough to bother me. So I think that is perfect. So here are our 3 cards. I think they came out super, super cute. Again, we have just a girl growing wings. Her soul is fierce, her heart is brave, her mind is strong, and our little rose culture. So let me know what you think in the comments. Just really simple cards. It looks like a lot went into them, but it was just kind of figuring out the layout. And this could have had a border as well, but I think it looks nice because it's against the white and it already has like the painted border. So that is perfect. This is really cute. I love the pink and the turquoise. I'm glad we found this. It all went together. I was a little bit worried about the stripy background, but I think it just goes well. And then our cute little rose culture, although those aren't roses, are they? That's okay. We won't nitpick. But let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll be back for another video soon. Thanks for watching. Bye!